Welcome to Kaleidoscope Let's Talk.
He was Shehan Soiza in Deepa Mehta's Oscar-nominated film Funny Boy. The incredibly talented Rehan Mudannayake is an artistic force to be reckoned with. Not only is he a magnificent actor, he's also a film director and a former Shivling scholar. His short film The Red Mustang premiered at the 2018 Montreal Film Festival, and Diddy premiered at the 2020 Holly Shorts Film Festival, among many other international platforms. So Rehan is making Sri Lanka proud yet again with his newest short film, So Long Farewell, which he wrote and directed. This short had its world premiere at the Pan-African Film Festival in Los Angeles. And today, Rehan Mudannayake is with me on Let's Talk. You've just had your world premiere of your newest short, So Long Farewell. What do you feel like now?
Oh, I feel like $1 million. It was a real dream come true, getting to premiere my new film in LA. Just amazing. It was an incredible experience, an absolutely phenomenal experience. It was not only the world premiere of the film, but it was my first time watching a film of my own with an American audience. And American audiences are so expressive. They were responding to lines from the film. They were responding to the actions of the characters, which was just incredibly rewarding as the director to not only watch my film for the first time with an audience, but to watch it with an audience that was different from the kinds of audiences I'm used to in the UK or even in Sri Lanka.
So have you always wanted to be a filmmaker, or were there other things in the pipeline that sort of gave you some...
I've always wanted to be a filmmaker, always wanted to be a filmmaker, ever since the age of 9. I remember my dad gave me a mini DV camera the size of like my palm when I was just 9 years old. I started making short films with my sister, terrible short films. I'd take the camera to school, film my friends getting into fights, and just, yeah, that's kind of where it all began.
What is So Long Farewell about?
So Long Farewell is about a middle-aged British Sri Lankan man who's reached a turning point in his life. He's been offered his dream job in the Netherlands, but taking the dream job means leaving his elderly grandmother behind, and his grandmother is his only surviving relative, and she's brought him up. So it's very much about responsibilities we have to ourselves and our careers versus, our families and our culture.
So there's one thing I noticed about your shorts. It always deals with something that's happening around us, the community, the country. What inspires you to get those stories out to people?
With this particular film, I wanted to write a story about a parent-child relationship and about elder care, because I feel like a lot of Sri Lankans find themselves in these situations, a lot of South Asians, because so much of our life revolves around traveling and living in other countries, because those opportunities may not always be available to us over here. But I thought it might be interesting to flip it on its head and to have a character who grew up in London, leaving London to pursue his dreams, and then being faced with the guilt, and the dilemma of leaving a family member, an elderly family member behind.
Tell me about the casting process for So Long Farewell.
Well, casting So Long Farewell was an absolute nightmare. It was very important to me that I cast Sri Lankan actors in the roles because the characters were Sri Lankan. It was not too much of a challenge finding the lead actor, Pradeep J, who's fantastic. However, we had to cast the role of the grandmother. And we went through a whole series of different actresses, and we couldn't find the right person. And I think we had two weeks left to shoot, and we hadn't found her. I'd asked everyone I knew. I'd reached out to people on social media platforms. I'd given up hope by this point. It's like, yeah, this film's not going to get made. If I can't find the right person, that's it. She was phenomenal, blew me away in the Zoom audition. I gave the role to her on the spot. We went for a coffee afterwards to talk about the film, and she very quietly turned to me and she said, "Oh yeah, I've been acting ever since I was 15. I was in Lester James Pierce's first film." And I was like, huh, okay, well that makes sense.
Filmmaking is challenging in any country, really. What are the challenges you personally have come across?
Financing is the biggest challenge. casting can be a challenge when you're looking for specific actors from particular groups, and like, I mean, the performances really make the film. Scriptwriting is also, it's always an uphill struggle, getting the script to a point that you feel comfortable enough to venture out onto set and direct it. And pre-production, always a nightmare. But once you're actually filming, you know, it's all good.
So you write your own scripts. How difficult or how easy is it once you get an idea into your head?
I go through quite a lengthy process from inception to the actual sort of writing of the script. I come up with ideas, and I usually condense those ideas and hone in on one or two, because you have such a limited duration of time with a short film. Short films are usually, you know, between like 5 and 15 minutes or 5 and 20 minutes. I then write out a treatment of it. So just like an A4 page of bullet points. And the actual writing of the script doesn't take more than a few hours, but it's getting that treatment down, getting the structure right, figuring out what figuring out the story I'm trying to tell, what I'm trying to convey to the audience.
Why did you choose short films?
I feel like every filmmaker starts off with short films because they are cheaper to make than features, obviously. So it's they're good calling cards for producers, for financiers. If they get into festivals and they're spotted, you're more likely to be able to make your feature film. It's also good practice, I think, to start off with shorts. Features cost a lot more money, so you know, you'd be taking a real gamble going straight into your first feature without having done something before that.
You have, with these shorts that are under your belt, which one is your favorite?
Almost impossible trying to choose a favorite film, but if I had to choose one, I would probably go with Red Mustang, just because the process of making it was so rewarding. I made it with a group of friends and my sister, and there were a lot of laughs. There were a lot of laughs on set, and yeah, it was a beautiful experience.
But it did deal with a subject that is very prevalent in corporate society, sexual exploitation.
Yeah.
Why did you come up with that?
Because I feel like if you live in Sri Lanka, you will have either been harassed or you know someone who's been assaulted or harassed at some point. And I feel like it's a topic, at least at that point when I made it. This was pre-Me Too. This is 2017, and I feel like there wasn't enough of a dialogue around it. Of course, post-Me Too, everyone is talking about it, but around that time, there wasn't much of a dialogue, and I felt like it was high time someone made a film about career-based harassment specifically.
So now you were on the other side of the lens when you did Funny Boy. You were an actor, and Deepa Mehta, the director. What was that experience like?
That was incredibly terrifying. I don't know what compelled her to cast me in that film, because I had no experience whatsoever, unlike my talented cast. I feel like I learned a lot about myself as a director. I feel like I learned how to communicate my own directorial vision more authentically, more respectfully, working under this visionary. It did a lot for my career, and I'm incredibly grateful to her for having me.
Funny Boy got a lot of flack once it was put out into the theatres, but it was also dealing with a subject that Sri Lankans want to forget. Yeah. What was that experience like?
Gosh, yeah, it was a real roller coaster ride, but I do hope it brought to light, I do think it brought to light issues that are often swept under the rug, and I mean, also focused on, I think we were talking about this some years ago, but focused on an aspect of history that is not taught in schools over here, that is very, very rarely discussed. I mean, certainly growing up, I feel like a lot of my understanding of like the late 70s, you know, early 80s, the ethnic riots, really came from anecdotes. So I feel grateful to Deepa for making this film and bringing to light those events.
What's the best directorial advice you have received?
One quote that like really resonates with me is that perfection is the enemy of creativity. You can't overthink these things. And it's important to just kind of keep creating, keep putting your work out there. Don't overanalyze, overthink things.
So, if you were doing a short film or if you were doing a feature film, who would be your dream actor that you would cast in it?
I think one of the first people that comes to mind is Julianne Moore. I would love to work with Julianne Moore. One of my all-time favorite actors is sadly dead, Philip Seymour Hoffman. He'd have been a real dream to work with. Gosh, the list goes on. Daniel Day-Lewis, a bit, yeah, there's too many to name, but Julianne Moore would be my answer.
And finally, are we going to see you move from short films to feature?
Absolutely. The plan is to make feature films. I'd like to make a couple more shorts and then venture into feature territory after that. But yes, all of this is building towards longer form material.
What's next for you?
I just wrapped filming on a short. I'm also developing a series and working on my feature on the side as well. So there's a lot to keep me busy.
So, here's hoping you get your dream actor for your film and that you'll walk the red carpet one day.